Welcome to the Aviation Pros Podcast, the go-to platform for professionals in the aviation industry. Powered by AviationPros.com, the leading source for comprehensive news, insights, and data on airport operations. Whether you're focused on airport management, improvement programs, ground handling, equipment, MRO, or FBO operations, we've got you covered with the expertise and resources you need to stay ahead.
Today, I am here with Nick Karakulko, who is the Senior Director of CIP Verticals for Octave. And Octave is a new entity. Nick, why don't you explain to us the connection between Octave and Hexagon, which was the company you were with the last time we spoke?
Sure. So I like to say, I haven't changed companies. I just changed the nameplate on the door. So we've become spun off a lot of the software component of Hexagon into Octave. So this is a new group. This will be traded on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. It is a American-owned company. It'll be headquartered in Huntsville, Alabama. And I think we'll start trading in a couple of months as Octave.
Tell us a little bit about Octave and the services it provides and the markets that it serves.
Well, Octave is really the combination the software groupings from Hexagon, and it's an approach to say, hey, we have all this value really not recognized in this huge software portfolio. I think it's like 100 different solutions, right? And as a Hexagon, you were approaching one element or one division of Hexagon dealing with one division. Octave is, hey, we're going to be one Octave, right? So when you approach Octave, here we are. We're dealing with these 4 pillars of expertise. Like I said, there's 100 different solutions out there dealing with the design, the building, the operation and protection, right, of anything, right? This whole asset life cycle, right? So if you think of building an airport, right? You design a new terminal, then you build it, then you're going to operate that terminal we're talking about today, and then you need to protect it too. And all these cohesively working together. And so what we found in our approach really to Octave to bring more value into the market and to our customers is, many times it's the gaps in between these phases, design to build, right, where some design flaw doesn't get corrected in the build process, or built to operate, where it's built one way, but operations say, but that's not the way we operate. And then operations very seldomly involves security and those fellows and safety in the beginning phases of the operation. So you wind up doing things that are very efficient, and then the security comes back and says, well, that's not very secure, right? So the whole idea is the stopgap, right? And utilizing something we like to call data bridge inside of Octave, we can connect all these different solutions together, make this flow from design all the way to protect, right? Again, this entire life cycle of an asset, and catch everything inside those common gaps that fall. This is the whole concept of Octave.
So the last time we talked about digital twins, and that is a concept that I'm sure there are people listening who could use a reminder of what that means, but I have a feeling that plays into everything that you just described. Can you kind of walk us through what a digital twin is and how it applies to stakeholders?
Absolutely. So if we look at this, and one of the things that we like to say here in Octave, in fact, our tagline is intelligence at scale, right? So the idea is you're bringing all these different flavors of intelligence in, right? Well, now you need a master system of truth, right? And not just a static one, but something that can have real-time data, very dynamic, growing, living, if you will, entity. And this digital twin is literally a copy of, the actual, say, airport or the airport ramp, so to speak. And it's everything that's going on. What you might see in the surface layer, if you looked out the window and you see the planes docking and the people walking around and you see vehicles, but also what's beneath that? Where are the pipes? Where's the electrical stuff? Where are all the assets, and when were they installed? And how does all accounted for? And you can peel away those layers and look at those things. And something that's very precise. So it's not just a picture like you might look at, oh, that's nice, a flat picture, and say, I see where that is. No, I can literally, as a maintenance person, go out there, go to my digital twin, measure the distance between a couple of spaces, and say, well, the ladder or lift I'm going to need, right, to go out and fix this item that's broken is precisely this high. right? So I don't go waste time measuring something. I can just do it right here in the digital twin. So it's your master system of truth, right? And if I can put everything on the digital twin, literally everybody is on the same page, right? I can go into that one master system of truth and understand what vehicles are out there right now, what assets do I have that are going on. As a maintenance person, I can see the age of those assets. I can understand if they're being effectively utilized, right? From a safety standpoint, I can see, well, that asset, is it traveling too fast? Is it, right? Does it have a problem? Am I going to have some collisions? Do I have too many people in the area? All this information in one place.
So you said the word page, I think, a minute ago, but this is not a page. This is a whole different interface. How does one look at a digital twin?
Very simply. So in fact, some of the digital twins we have today, especially some of our in our protect space, are built literally on a gaming engine. So if you think of walking into a video game, right, and you're looking at a simulated environment, a different world, if you will, in many cases in a video game, but this is not a different world. It's the world you work in. It's the world you're in, right? So you can see it's a simulated environment. I could look at it in my computer in 3D, rotate it, dive in. I can have VR goggles and walk through it, right? So it is literally like what we're used to today in all of our other simulated environments that we deal with in games and in television and other things. It's just in your computer.
For ground handlers, who are our audience here today specifically, how might this translate into their day-to-day processes? Like, what's the practical take-home for them?
Well, you have, I think, at many levels, right? So we've talked a lot about the digital transformation of the ramp and what does this mean, right, to here in that world. So first of all, you have a lot of telematics going on now, right? So there's various systems out there saying, well, where are these vehicles? What are they doing? Where are they going? How fast are they going? I'm not sure everything that they're giving these days, but all of that can be then integrated and brought into this digital twin, right? So that I can now understand what's going on there. And now we have foreign objects, FOD, foreign object detection. Well, I can detect somebody throwing something over on the perimeter already, like a baseball-sized object from a security standpoint, over the fence, right? Using LiDAR and the digital twin, know exactly where it is. The digital twin knows exactly what's supposed to be there in normal operating conditions and what's being introduced, what's new, what's different. So now it can give you an alert and say, hey, that object that's right there is laying there on the tarmac, that piece of luggage, or that's new, doesn't belong here. Somebody needs to address this, okay? So these are the types of things I think in practical considerations, very practical considerations we can do. We had also done using digital twin for security purposes. You put this LiDAR detection device underneath a plane, and it knows the plane. So if you tell it's a 737, 900 max, it knows exactly all the dimensions. You light it up, it says, okay, if anything comes around this plane inside the dimensions, I'll get off an alert. Why not use that for collisions? You can put something there. You can expand that a little bit, right? Give it a little bit of buffer, and anything approaches into that buffer, give an alert, say, hey, you're too close, right? So same technology, just repurposed a little bit. And then on the digital twin, you see an alert, hey, we've had somebody get too close. And then the cameras, training on that, also recording the things so you get eyes, right, on the incident. You see it both in the digital twin and on the recording and the camera, live camera view if you're looking at the camera.
Okay. So you talked about alerts. If you were somebody operating a piece of ground support equipment, for example, and you got too close to an aircraft or some part of the infrastructure, does that operator receive the alert, or is this alert going to somebody in a back office where all the tech takes place?
Good question. Today, the digital twin obviously would be consumed traditionally in the back office, right? Somebody's out there looking at these digital twins and understanding both the real-time alerts or maybe even the planning and other things. They're all being used in the back office. But that LiDAR, that was, again, alert. It's got a physical sound on it, right? It's telling you, hey, don't intrude here, right? So we could do that. Now, obviously, if we're going to progress in this technology, it just makes sense, and I've had discussions with somebody else before, it that exists today. Either I want something on that piece of equipment or in front of that operator, right? Because there's a lot of noise. They got ear protection on. Are you going to hear that necessarily that audible sound? So I want to see something flashing right there on the ground equipment to say, hey, you're getting a proximity alert, right? And then maybe there's something else. It could be a pad or something it gives us more specific information for them than saying, hey, you're too close to the airplane, or you've left the protected zone. You're supposed to be on this path, right? Whatever it is.
You've mentioned LiDAR a couple of times already. Let's take a little bit of a look at that to those who might not know exactly what that is and how these digital twins are built. Can you explain how that works?
Leica makes a device, a handheld device. You can walk around and scan an area and bring all that data in. They also have a drone, which will fly around and do the same type of thing. Then they have measurement equipment for if you're doing construction. You put these sensors out and it tells you precisely, where things should be and where they are. So yes, and all that can be brought in to your digital twin or help create the digital twin. So that's on the Hexagon side. We're the software side. So we're the side where you build the digital twin in Octave. So you've taken that data now, other data from other sources that I might have, from BIM models to schematics to again, real-time data like telematics. And now I'm bringing all this stuff into that environment that I've created. And the digital twin, for instance, you can start with a simple digital twin as easy as going to Google Earth from a standpoint of starting. They have a 3D model, say, of an airport view, right? It's not going to be precise, but it's a nice place to start if you're just doing some basics. So where are things positioned and this type of thing. But the more and more precision you want, the more you're going to want to utilize those sensors to get very precise measurements. So I know exactly what the positioning of this piece of equipment is, or that building, or that tower. Where is it? And it's precise down to a cubic millimeter of where this item is. So you're getting, when we say digital twin, we mean this is a real precise digital twin representation of the real thing.
Does this technology apply to all airports, or is there a sweet spot where it's most applicable?
Yes, I mean, we various layers and things and expenses. Like I said, you could start, from a digital twin standpoint. I just want to know where a few objects are, right? You use the Google Earth image, and you have your digital twin, and then you put some assets in there that are important to you. If I'm using it for a design aspect, right, where some things are going to go for a project, then again, if general aviation might be easier to actually fly a drone and get an image. This doesn't cost that much money to image a small general aviation airport, right? I mean, you make a few passes, right? You're there about 30 minutes to an hour, and you've gathered all the data. You run it back through the renderer, and there you go. There's your digital twin, and you can start to utilize that. So I think there's inexpensive ways to use the digital twin, and then there's very expensive ways to use the digital twin. Let's say with the LiDAR technology that we're using to do a small perimeter, very inexpensive. If you are general aviation airport in an urban environment and you have a lot of things around you and you want like security around that perimeter, you have that basic digital twin around your perimeter and a very precise LiDAR sensors around that, you're going to get a very discrete zone of protection where I can say, on this side of the fence or above the fence, I want an alert. But anybody walking outside here on the fence, right, or driving by, which may be very close in an urban environment, don't bother me with alerting me because they belong there, right? The technologies we have today, video analytics and fence-based systems, can't do that, right? So you get a lot of false alarms based on these types of scenarios where with the LiDAR and the digital twin, I can paint a very precise intrusion zone and leave all the other noise and ignore it.
How would an airport get started with something like this?
Well, I mean, first of all, you need to look at what are we trying to accomplish? What are their needs? What are our concerns, right? Is it operational concerns on the ramp? Is it operational concerns in around the perimeter? Is it, is it moving planes around? Like if you're a small airport FBO and I'm moving private planes around and I want to make sure that I don't have any collisions there, right? So maybe then I put a few sensors coming around that are sensing the whole general area there that I might be moving planes and parking planes around, or inside my hangar facility where I'm putting things in maybe a little cramped conditions. So make a digital twin of that and a few sensors, and then as we discussed, and now I put something like a pad for the driver, right? And he knows it's not so much as chaotic as your large airport, so he knows I'm driving this thing. I pay attention and make sure that I don't get an alert flashing from the pad. This is I'm driving this plane too close to this plane over here. I mean, this is a real world example that someone gave me when I discussed it with them and said, well, this would be a need that we might be looking for, something they thought in their mind this could be useful. So we talked to the airports, try to understand, what a starting point is and what concerns they might have, right? If this is a real concern, how else are you going to pick up these things that are lying around on the ground that nobody else sees, right? So a LiDAR who measures this very precise precision measurement, all of a sudden says, well, hold on, I was getting, it was measuring 2.213 meters a second ago. Now it's 2.11 meters. That's the change. So there's something there, and it alerts you, right? So because it's so precise, it starts to see things that you won't see on a camera or even driving around, right? So this is why I think it could be a useful test to see how it might work in for an object detection on a ramp.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is like the customers, like they're going to have somebody from your company who will consult with them, I guess, and walk them through this whole process. It's not like you buy this program and then you find your digital twin there. I mean, it's not that simple. It's going to take some onboarding, I guess, if you will.
Oh, yes. I mean, to us, there's obviously consultants that we work with to come in and understand the problems that they're trying to achieve, and then come in and say, okay, well, this is the digital size and shape of the digital twin, so to speak, right? Costs associated with that you can do to achieve that mission. And here's your return on investment based on, what we're trying to do here. And then, of course, from there, future growth plans, what else can you do? Once you establish that, then what else can we do, right? How do you move that forward and get more value with that same digital twin?
How do you see this technology developing in the short term? Like in the next couple of years, are there things we can expect to see that in the advancement?
I think from our standpoint, I think it's the integration of all this data, right? So we have these digital twins, and we have this real-time digital twin. So in the past, when you said digital twin to an airport, sure, they had some larger airports had digital twins. They're doing planning, right? They're doing maintenance planning. They're doing some forecasting models, right, on this digital twin. It was very static data, right? So now it's the interjection of all this real-time data, right? So I think this is really where it's going. We have real-time digital twins, dynamic models. Again, that master source of truth, right? That says what is going on in my airport right now in real time? Where is everything, right? And being able to layer that down, structure that out. So bring in various pieces of data. I have this whole living, breathing environment, but now I can parse through it very quickly, right, and see what's there. So I think that's really the trend is like getting more and more data injected in that digital twin and more real-time data injected in that digital twin.
Okay. How about the company itself? What are, it's brand new, so what are the short-term goals that the company would like to reach?
Short-term goals. Well, I do think that this whole one Octave approach and really educating the market on these pillars, the design, build, operate, protect, right? I think that's number one. How do we close those gaps? So I think that's where we're going as a company is in the short term is how do I put all this data together as a company? That's the first journey we have to do because a lot of these things we're not integrated together. They're bought through acquisition, so we have to put all that together in our own time, right? Journey facing. And then it's how do we then help our customers reach this intelligence at scale, right? Start to use more and more of this intelligence to solve their problems, to become more efficient, to operate better, right? So we have to do our part, which is build it, and then go out to the market and say, okay, help us help you. What else do you need to know, right? What other data points do you need? How would you utilize this data, right? How do we go about closing these gaps, right? Because some of these, if you think about it, some of these gaps are traditionally done because they're siloed operations. The designers hand things to builders hand things to operators, right? So how do you break down those silos as well so that you can say, well, we're all communicating in one nice flow here from start of the process all the way through to the end, right? So I think we're trying to go into that market and say we're different. We're going to attack this different, and but it's a journey. We're all in this journey kind of together with our customers.
I think that's interesting because the way you describe that you do have so many different stakeholders doing so many different things that are going to have access to the same information and will be ideally communicating seamlessly, correct? Right? Do you anticipate that will go, or has it gone smoothly, or are there some hiccups involved with getting, all of those stakeholders have very, very specific initiatives and goals. So do they play together?
Well,
if you will?
we see obviously, and I won't speak just about the airports. I've seen it in transit. I've seen it in other places. The answer is no. Right? A lot of industries are built for a reason, right? In the old days, into these little fiefdoms, if you will, and these compartmentalized operations, because they did one thing and these other group did another thing. Everybody stayed in their lane, right? Now we want to, if we really want to become efficient, we find a way to break down these lanes, not necessarily all the time, but when they need to, break down and share information, and we make that seamless, right? And we just having that digital twin is one. That's one way. I know you have a project going on because I can see there's a project here. So I don't want to stick my project on top of your project, right? Unless I really have to. And then I can see so I go trust somebody else. Well, what's that going to do to the traffic flow if we have both of these going down here? How's that going to affect operations if I'm doing both these maintenance projects at one time, right? Or if I'm doing a maintenance project on top of a new build project, right? These types of things. So all these things can be simulated and people can then understand, right? And that's one way of communication. The other one way is we literally take this digital twin data, we put it into another solution of ours, right? And you can now share data to somebody who may not even know that this was going on in the first place. They're so far removed from this process that you're now trying to share with another group and saying, well, we're doing this right now. We have an incident going on because of this process, and it could affect you, and you. So, by the way, we're opening a little collaboration portal. Here's the digital twin. Everybody sees what's going on, can open even live cameras, see other telematics, here's other things going on. Now you tell us, right, what resources, right, can I provide you, or what resource do I need from you to help us out? And there's a little communications tool, collaboration tool for that, right? So it's not just enough to have the digital twin. Now you have to go to the next level and say, okay, now that we're sharing, let's talk about it.
I actually think there's applications for this in almost every realm of life, really, right? I mean, anytime you have people working together across disciplines, it sounds like, it's a way to get people on the same page, if you will. The same page. Not the same page, the same visual,
Well, we like to say at Octave, the same sheet of music.
The same sheet music. That's perfect. Oh, that ties it all together. Octave, sheet music. I love it. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Nick, for explaining it all to us, and we wish you the best of luck, and I hope you'll keep us posted going forward.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. Great to come and talk to you again. I think it's, very interesting to discuss the different things that are going on in the world, and it's always nice to see, like I said, to read the material there from your publications and see what's going on, and then to be able to comment on that is always fun.
Thanks for tuning in to the Aviation Pros Podcast. Stay ahead in airport operations and leadership by subscribing to our Airport Business Daily Newsletter, your go-to source for the latest industry insights. And don't forget to explore even more at AviationPros.com, the home of exclusive content for aviation professionals like you. I'm Joe Petrie. We'll catch you next time.